Let's try it again. I hear something now. Can y'all hear me now? Let's try it again. I hear something now. Can y'all hear me now? Let's try it again. I hear something now. Can y'all hear me now?
You know.
Cool. Cool beans. Yeah. All right. I think we're cooking now, guys. I'm sorry about that one. I don't know what's going on with that one. But anyways, I digress. Like I said, I appreciate y'all being here on this Saturday night special. Y'all go ahead and make sure y'all like, share this so we can let everybody know that we are the biggest, by the way. Today is your boy's birthday too, guys. So make sure y'all drop a little, well wish or something like
Happy
that.
birthday, man.
Oh, I appreciate that, dog. I just say that because I like saying solar return. That's kind of like gonna be my new thing when I'm talking about birthdays. It's my solar
Yeah.
return.
I like that. That's good. That's good.
So we got a good one today, guys. We are talking about angels, demons, guardian angels to be specifically, demons, and kind of like what that is. Now, we've talked to this gentleman about this particularly, at least demons, at least a few times. But I think in the context of dreams, I think it's even more important, or even more, I guess I would say, unique. To talk about it like that. So we're talking about that, and then we're talking about the nuances of dreams and stuff like that there. So before we get started, for those of us that don't remember that's going to be watching this back, who are you, sir, and what do you do?
I'm Hunter Salazar. I have a YouTube channel, spiritual YouTube channel at Hunter Salazar, my name on YouTube. And then I am also a shamanic practitioner and I am a Shakta. Shamanic practitioner, I employ a number of different shamanic tactics, usually in the context of Northern shamanism or Tantra. But yeah, overall, I'm just a spiritualist trying to find my way back home and expand as a person, both spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Oh man, that's I like that. I like the way you just framed that last part particularly because I think I'm doing the same thing, and I wouldn't even call myself a shamanic practitioner, but maybe I am. Maybe I am. That's pretty cool though.
It's meant to be.
I think so. So today, dog, let's just, we're just gonna jump right into it. Especially for those of us that's gonna be watching this back. What the heck are dreams and are they real, bro? So before you answer that, I've had dreams of like crazy shit, bro. Like not even like just literally like cartoon level goofy shit going on in my dreams. Was that a real realm? Was that
Uh-oh. Can you hear me still?
ruin it? Can you
Okay,
hear me
there we
now?
go.
Cool. I can hear you now.
Uh,
Somebody
so um,
my birthday.
so I know a lot of people who think that this like the dream realm and the spirit realm are kind of one. I have my reservations. I would say that there are dream realms kind of, but usually when we have a dream, it's our subconscious trying to figure things out, trying to put things together and try to make us wake up, try to make us more realized as a person, spiritually and mentally. But it's our subconscious trying to help us. Now sometimes when we dream we might enter a different dimension, but it's I think that that's pretty rare. I think that usually, like you said, you've had a lot of like cartoon dreams, stuff like that. That doesn't really feel like another realm. I've had similar dreams, but I think sometimes we do pierce the veil. It just depends on what kind of dream it is, and it you got to look for certain signs that it's a different dimension. Like there has to be a certain amount, a certain way that the dimension works, and you have to actually speak to another being that is kind of helping you along the way. If you're speaking to another being that is helping you along the way, or actually even trying to hurt you, then odds are it's more likely to be a different dimension. If it's just a bunch of confused things that don't make any sense, it's probably the subconscious trying to work something out, trying to help you figure something out. But yeah, sometimes it's a different dimension. I think most of the time it's probably not. A lot of shamanic practitioners believe in like the dream realm, similar to the spirit realm, but it's much more confused and not put together like a regular dimension. But yeah.
Ooh, okay. You said some things there that I should have, but you was doing your spiel. Um, so I that sounds interesting to me. So you saying to me that for the most part it's just you. So you believe that the brain basically what I'm getting at, you believe that the brain and that the spiritual realm can be separate, that we're not all the time entangled and entwined. All this, because I'm coming at it. This is the standpoint I'm coming at it from, and I probably already said this, that I believe that it's all the same all the time. So like, I guess the subconscious and all that Carl Jung type theory stuff. Like I believe that every time I close my eyes, I go somewhere. But I mean, what you're saying though is I'm finding some it's making sense to me,
Mhm.
because it's like, you know I do think that we try to work out our own stuff. So that's interesting. So what I'm getting at is that I think what you're saying is right. I'm just, again, I'm kind of more on the side of we always go somewhere. So if what you think? So you think the physical and the spiritual can be separate? I guess so. Huh?
So we exist in multiple planes of existence all at once. So we exist in the material realm, the astral realm, and to a certain degree, the causal realm. The astral realm is usually to do with our spirit body or astral body. The causal realm, until we reach a state of godhood, we don't exist there completely. But in the astral realm, we're even while we're walking around talking like right now, we're still in the astral realm on some level. Like there is that's why we're so susceptible to a lot of negative entities, is because most of us are not aware of our astral body and are not aware of our identity in the astral realm. So we do exist on multiple planes of existence all at once. It's just it entirely depends on how aware you are of it. So the more aware you are of it, the more active you can be in different dimensions all at the same time.
All right, that's a good point. Hold on real quick before I lose it. So I'm glad you said that. So you saying to me, if I'm not, so what I was gonna bring up is ignorance of the law doesn't excuse you from the law. So all that, what I'm saying is that just because I'm not aware of it, doesn't that still mean that I'm walking in the presence of it? Because it does exist, but I might not, the energies I might not be as aware of what's happening. I'll just chalk that off as an accident, or as a weird coincidence.
Mhm.
For those of us in the back of the class that might be tuning in and out and peeking in and out, what we're talking about is dreams and stuff like that. There, and the question I just posed this shamanic practitioner was, is that when I'm having different types of dreams, and some of those dreams are kind of like cartoonish or whatever the case may be, is that an actual place that I've went to, or is that, as this gentleman posed and many other sociologists, etc., have said, that it's just the subconscious, kind of like working its way through some trauma, or not even trauma, good things, bad things, whatever the case may be at that time. But there's a lot of buts in this. But we just realized too, we just talked about how we live in multiple planes of dimensions and shit like that there. So what the heck is going on? Again, what I'm posing to this gentleman is that ignorance of the law does not excuse you from the law. So that's in the courthouse. And that just means that just because you don't know that something is going on, or you didn't know that something was a good or bad for you to do, and you still did it, does not excuse you from this consequences. And that, I believe, good sir, is what's going on in the spiritual realm. That a lot of us, or all of us, are always walking in the spirit, but our awareness to it, I guess, I'll let the expert talk about it, but I'm kind of like, I'm figuring this shit out as you're talking about it. And it's like, oh, okay, I get what you're
Uh,
saying. Yeah, I get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
and our astral body is very much connected to the subconscious. So in a way, our astral self tries to make our physical, non-aware self realize things through dreams, because our astral self is simultaneous, our astral self is not confined by time. The astral realm, things happen only when things happen. So time doesn't just pass. So things have to happen in the astral realm for there to be any marker of like time. Time doesn't exist the same way. So we might be getting some kind of message or some kind of influence from our astral body connected to our subconscious, connected to the astral realm, while we seem to be at a different time in our life. We might get the same influence for at 5 years old, and then it might come in maybe at like 30 years old. So it's in and out of time, and it's all kind of it's this weird like spiral, if you will. But yeah, I think we are operating on multiple planes of existence all at once. So yeah, in that way, and since our subconscious is tied to our astral body, I would say that we are operating in a certain way in the astral realm when we're dreaming. But I the only reason I don't jump to that immediately is because um, if we think that every single dream is to be looked at, to be analyzed, and to be understood, and it'll help us, is not necessarily true. Sometimes it's just confusion. But yeah, so ultimately, yeah, our subconscious and our astral body and our dreams are connected for sure.
Woo-hoo! Y'all hear that? So that's kind of like life too, right? We can't listen to everybody, but we should at least try to be aware and pay attention to what's going on and see kind of like I guess it's a season for a reason. Oh man, and what do I mean by that, guys? I mean that whatever you're going through, good or bad, you can kind of like notice that by different patterns in your waking life and in your sleeping life. There'll be
Mm.
different clues. So let's talk about some of those things. We're not gonna leave you cliffhanging. I just said I be having cartoonish dreams. I also have sometimes I've had really scary, spooky, demonic dreams too. I would classify them as demonic because I don't know anything else to call them or any other way to call them. I would say that one of those dreams, I was literally in like a. You watch Rick and Morty?
It's been a while, but yeah, yeah, I've seen it
Okay.
before. Yeah,
You ever
yeah.
heard of the Cronenbergs when they destroyed the world? And
No,
all right,
no.
this is it, you've seen the concept. The concept is that Rick destroyed the world. It's a major apocalypse, and what results as opposed to that apocalypse is insect-like morphed human disfigured body beings, like zombie type of shit going on.
Hmm, hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, I've had a dream like that. Like I was one of them in this realm, and I knew that I was real in this realm, and like and who I was following, like it wasn't scary, like I was scared of them. It was scary because I was there and I was one of them, and that was just how life was. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So I had a dream like that. It was very real. I felt all the sensations were there. Now, I'll stop on that particular one right there. What you think about that? Like I was interacting with my fellow Cronenberg people. Like we were walking down this road. Like this, how I knew. I was like, and when I was there, like this me was also aware because I was like, yo, what the, where am I?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
again, also I was operating through one of these beings. So yeah, what you think about that?
Just based on that, I would say you probably gained limited access to a different dimension of existence. But the reason I say limited is because it didn't happen over a long period of time for you. You just were like in and out as far as dreams go. Um, Now, did you wake up feeling like tired or any kind of pain or anything that was abnormal when you woke up?
Uh, that's a good question. I don't remember being in pain, so I'm gonna say nope.
Hmm.
Actually, shit, from these dreams lately, since I've been at my new content house, I've been having some dreams the last few days that have let me in that state like that. So what is that? What is that? What is that? What's going on with that?
It could mean that something is feeding off of you by giving you limited access to its dimension. So it gives you limited access, almost like it lets you in the door a little bit just so it can rob you, and then it spits you, and then it pushes you back out the door. So you're kind of getting. It's basically they brought you in just so they could rob you, and then just push you back out the door. That's why not having spiritual protection is such a pain for most of us because we just don't understand what's going on or how to protect ourselves. But yeah, I think that that's what happened. Especially if you wake up feeling like you're really groggy, like you're not all there, and like you feel diminished. Like usually, I'd have to figure out if you have like a spiritual awareness in your body. But if you don't really completely understand your body or how it works spiritually, then it'd be hard for me to diagnose completely. But think of shamanic practitioners as kind of like a doctor, and we need as many cues as we can get in order to figure out a treatment or to figure out what something is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, Back of the head, chest tightness.
So back of the head. So usually, when I withdraw my consciousness and move it from the front of my head to the back of my head, when I move my consciousness around in my head, usually, well, depending on the part of the head, when I move it to the back of my head, that's usually when I'm becoming, I feel less human consciousness. So you feel more like a serpent consciousness, or kind of a predator consciousness. When the temporal lobe is not being used as much and you move your consciousness back, you're further and further away from being human. So you might be being attacked by something that is not altogether human in nature. Tightness of the chest. Tightness of the chest often has to do with stress. And it's almost like your astral body is trying to tell your physical body that there's something wrong. And that's where we feel it in the middle of our body. When something's really wrong, that's where our subconscious, our astral body tells us that something is going on, and that everything's not okay right now. So it's kind of like your indicator, the center of your body. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, so let's I guess what would be the remedy for that one? For, I guess you would call this the, what's this, the
Kind of your solar plexus
solar
area.
plexus. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So a remedy for a lot of this stuff is meditation, but also putting black salt on a plate and putting it underneath your bed when you're dreaming provides a lot of protection, because it draws any negative energy into that black salt. And it should be in some kind of dish. It should be a dish of black salt. It draws that negativity away from your body. Also, placing regular white salt on the edges, whatever room you're in, any way that anything could get in or go out, you put white salt on the bottom of the windowsill or the door, and then that kind of stops things from coming into a space. So you're protecting yourself by drawing away the negativity, and you're protecting yourself by barring the entrances to your room. Now, there's plenty of things that could get in by not using open places, but most things kind of go with the least amount of resistance. So they'll try to enter in through something that opens, if that makes any sense. Also, white sage, great to always burn. That purifies the area. And negative beings hate white sage. They hate its smell, and they're driven away by it. But also, this is a remedy for a lot of things. Meditation and gaining better body awareness, and how your particular body is tuned. Through meditation, you start to realize, this is how I feel over here. This is how I feel over there. This is how I feel within myself. This is how I feel exterior to myself. But meditation helps a lot of these things as well.
I've noticed that meditation is the best remedy for me, dog. Like, I don't even be as sick
Yeah, yeah.
or whatever, and when I realize, and I just sit still with myself, and I just allow my everything to just settle, you
You're
know.
getting into contact with your astral body, and you're purifying your body and your astral body in both places when you meditate. A lot
Oh
of the time.
man. Oh man, that's dope. Ooh, so that's cool. You basically said, like, and it sounded like a parasitic relationship in that dream space, as far as having like temporary access to some stuff and then it going away. That's what that sounded like. Okay, let me give you I guess another one, and then we can kind of incorporate how guardian angels play into this and all that type of stuff there. I had another one that I can just remember, where, that's not as interesting. I had one where I was sitting in I guess this kind of goes back to your parasite thing. I had one where I was like in the middle. It was like they was doing a ritual,
Hmm.
and I was in the middle of it, and it's like the sheet was over me though. But like I could see them, like they was dancing around in like a circle. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? And it was all the like I seen the room. Like it was candles in the background, like tall candles, and it was like it was probably like 7 to 14 people, and they was all in the circle doing a thing. And then, I saw it, and I was in the middle of it.
Do
So
you do you remember any symbols?
I don't remember no symbols.
How many
No, it
people
was
were there? Do you remember how many people exactly, or was this kind of rough
it
estimate?
it was a rough estimate. That's why I gave you that number. It was a
Okay.
rough estimate. Could have been less, could have been, about that number. Yeah,
What were
for
the
sure.
color of the candles?
I remember the vibe I'm getting is white.
Oh shit. Well, that's one of the reasons why white candles are the worst for indicators, is because white candles can be used for fucking everything. Like, they could be used for all kinds of stuff. Usually, black candles are used to get rid of negativity. White candles throughout many traditions have been used in, like, to do fucking anything. Unfortunately, but do you remember? Do you remember the tempo or if there was any chanting?
Mm, you know, this was an old one. So I'm trying to,
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
trying to
no
give
worries.
you. It stuck out to me though. That's why I can give you those few details I just gave you. Um,
What happened in your life around that time?
what was going on around that time? Was I in a dark space? Where was I living at? What was I doing? What was I doing and where was I living? Oh man. I want to say, it was probably like I was probably like in a transition from like just now getting over some spiritual mental stuff to living normal. That's probably what I want to say.
So
Yeah,
you're kind of going from the spiritual to normal,
back to normal.
back
Like
to normal.
going through stints of intense depression or something like that.
Mhm.
To going getting back to normal. That
Yeah.
sounds about right. That just makes the most sense for me, knowing me. Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds about right.
it could be an astral guide showing you that you're being initiated into another part of your life. Like things are changing and it's time for you to maybe set down old things and pick up new things.
What if the
Um,
vibe though? To interrupt you, excuse me, but I want to incorporate the vibe because I think it's important. The vibe I got was very like, nah, this is demonic. That's the vibe I got.
a lot of the time we're naturally scared of the unknown. Um, so I think a lot of the time we might misconstrue something for something else. At the same time, if you felt a vibe of extreme negativity, then it could have been beings in a different realm doing a ritual in order to once again feed off of you or stop you from making progress.
I got
It,
haters. Yeah, I
yeah,
believe
you
that's
might have
real.
haters in other realms, man.
I believe that's real. That makes
Not only
sense.
in this realm, but other realms. This fucking
That makes
sucks.
sense to me. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Hey man,
Somebody asked something in the chat.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm getting to I just had my own questions and stuff,
Mhm.
whatnot. And a lot of these people they kind of gotta get back over here from the last live. But no, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I'll let me go to Seven Meadow, Seven Monkey Seven. He said, why does weed stop most from remembering their dreams?
It interferes with your memory integration. So you'll still have dreams, but it'll stop you from it can, it doesn't always, but like it can stop you from remembering. Like we naturally dream all the time, like every night, but we don't always remember our dreams. Anything that you do to interfere with your natural biochemistry might stop your brain from remembering things. But weed in general, it can also be used for shamanic purposes, especially if you're trying to spirit walk or kind of change the degree or kind of your consciousness. It can aid in that. But if you're just smoking weed just to smoke weed and not doing anything else, then a lot of time it can interfere with your brain's normal activities.
You heard that, y'all. So if you're gonna smoke, smoke and have a conversation. You know,
Right.
do something. That's pretty cool, man. Somebody said if I do dream, I don't remember any of them. So is that kind of like what you're talking about?
So there's this old saying, I don't know how true it is, but I think it's true. When you don't remember any of your dreams, your subconscious has given up on trying to guide you. Like you've
Mm,
ignored so many different lessons and so many different things that it's been trying to tell you that it just gave up. I think it's true. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I've heard it from multiple spiritual people, and it kind of makes me think there might be some truth to it. But once again, I'm not completely sure on that, to be honest.
Stay off the shrooms, chat. Hey chat. Do what's good for you, but yeah,
I love shrooms. They're
don't
great.
just be doing drugs and stuff like that there, just to do stuff like Brody said. Don't smoke just to smoke. But hey, sometimes we smoke just to smoke. Sometimes we drink just to drink. But if you're gonna do it, at least now that you're aware, now you know. Now you know better. Can't say you don't know better now. Uh
You're
he
teaching
said,
everybody the right things.
hey man, I'm just keeping it real. Just keeping it real. I heard people move around more so spiritually in the ethereal realm and
Ethereal.
or body, and less so in the astral realm or body. What are your thoughts, or what is the difference? What are your thoughts, or what is the difference between the two?
So it just in the traditions that I'm in contact with and have been working in, the ethereal realm and the astral realm aren't necessarily different. It's they're maybe slightly different. The ethereal is more thought oriented. The astral is more energy oriented. But usually in the traditions that I operate in, they're kind of a part of the same thing, if that makes sense.
Nah, how makes it so how they a part of the same thing if they different?
It's almost like saying different continents on Earth. Like
Um,
there, it's the same. It's the same biosphere. It's the same planet. It's just like a different part of the planet. But so it's all astral. It's just different parts of it.
I dig that. I dig that. So
Somebody said energy oriented or so soul based. Um, so soul is kind of a loaded term in tantra or in Hinduism because our soul is composed of like different parts, but our deepest soul, our soul of the soul, at the core of our soul, is the witness. It is what makes us conscious, and it is that part of God that cannot be changed and must go back to God. It's almost like a recording device, but it also fuels consciousness. So if it's parts of your soul that can change or that you can work with, then we're not talking about soul. We're talking about astral body.
right on, right on. Damn it. Uh Let me talk. Uh Man, that was a good question though. And I appreciate the answer. But now we gotta incorporate how do angels and how do demons incorporate themselves. Uh, well, I'm gonna put it like this: how do they incorporate themselves into our dreams? In your opinion, let's talk about that. And what are angels and what are demons?
uh, Angels and demons are spirit endowed with will. Beings of pure spirit that are endowed with will, so they don't have physical bodies. Usually, angels can take up physical bodies if they really want to. They usually don't need to. Demons have extreme amounts of trouble taking up physical bodies. Otherwise, they would be on Earth. But a being that is so chaotic that it's too chaotic to hold any kind of body. It can't even be an ant or like a possum. Demons are kind of those things that are so negative that just the natural hierarchy of things and the nature of evolution, they can't take up bodies. But they can very much influence your dreams. And the same thing with angels. Angels don't really have any desire to take up bodies, but it's not that they can't. So demons are it is very dualistic, but demons are those beings of pure spirit endowed with will who use the will to just do evil for the sake of evil. And angels are those beings of pure spirit endowed with will that choose to do good just for the sake of doing good. And then you have everything in between. But so there's this movie called Insidious, or no, Nefarious. Um, it's very Christian oriented as far as its understanding, but I found it extremely accurate. So Nefarious, I think you can get it free on YouTube. Honestly, it might be a free YouTube movie. But if anybody who's Christian who wants to understand demons better, at least a little bit, I'd recommend that movie. But yeah,
Various.
yeah, Nefarious.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, we learn in the day chat. I like that. Energetic beings that have free will. And that either are extremely chaotic just for the sake of being chaotic, or extremely or good for the sake of being good. Oh man, that's cool. I
And
learned.
no, go ahead. I don't want me to cut you off.
Oh yeah, no, you good. You good, man. I'm gonna send you an invoice. Yeah. You know what were you gonna say?
So the hells are composed of demons that are not necessarily completely chaotic, but very evil.
Hold on, real quick. Excuse me. Let me talk. You said the hells, multiple hells, multiple dimensions of hell. Is that what you're saying to me?
Yeah, think of it in the astral realm. Positive beings can move around the astral realm without too much trouble. Demons and negative entities that have done terrible things that are they're suffering until they suffer off all the bad karma. They'll be think of the hells as like different mansions in a park. And then these negative beings can't get out of these mansions. But have the heavens and the hells exist in the astral realm. Now, there's different kinds of heavens, there's different kinds of hells. In Hinduism, there's a whole lot of knowledge surrounding them. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if you're not coming at it from that direction. But there are the heavens. If, let's say you live a really good life, like you're a really good person, but you didn't make a lot of spiritual progress. You might, after the end of your life, you might go to a heaven to enjoy all your good karma before coming back here to continue on your journey making spiritual progress. Let's say you have to be to go to one of the hells, you have to go through you have to do something so bad that you can't even get the body of an ant. So you'd have to like kill people. You'd have to like really do evil stuff to children. But when you take up a body in one of the hells, um, you're kind of in one of these mansions, depending on the nature of your negativity and the nature of your crimes against all of existence. But the positive heavens and all the hells are negative. They're not necessarily completely connected to one spiritual evolution. Even gods themselves have to come here to make spiritual progress after they lose that station. So here in the material realm is where we make spiritual progress. In the astral realm, unless it's a positive astral realm that's not one of the pleasure heavens, then you don't necessarily make spiritual progress in the astral realms.
Woo! I hope y'all taking some notes, y'all. I hope y'all taking some notes. So yeah, different mansions. So you saying to go to hell, all you gotta do is just be the worst, and then you can't even come back. So you saying coming back as an ant isn't a bad thing. Coming back as a fly isn't a bad thing. So you believe in that.
Yeah. So you, you have to do something so bad that you can't even take up another body here, because believe it or not, there's almost like protective gateways or protective barriers between the material universes, because there's multiple material universes and everything else. So everything is designed in such a way that there are certain protections on our dimension and what can enter here. But all of
So
this is only if you believe in reincarnation. I do, but you don't go to a hell forever. You only go there to suffer off your bad karma until you suffer enough to where you come back here. Now, some beings are so evil that they just keep on coming back here, doing something evil and going back, and they just go back and forth, back and forth. Similar with some beings that do only positive stuff, but they don't make spiritual progress, so they just go to the one of the pleasure heavens and back here, pleasure heaven, and back here, basically.
that staircase to heaven or that revolving door. Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, we saying nah, we cooking, dog. So you incorporating this back to the dreams. So we said that they can definitely influence our dreams. The vibe that I've got, like I tell a story where I've actually physically seen a demonic entity standing next to my bed, but also with angels, I've never physically seen them, but I do get visions of them, and also it's more of just a warm presence. With my experience with angels. One, have you had experience with daemons? And then physically, what do you think that was? Then you said they can't incarnate. You did say that then. So yeah, I guess have you had any experience with demons? And then two, have you had any experience with angels? And then what do you think that was with me?
So I became aware of my guardian angel when I was around the age of 18. Um, there's different spirit beings in my spirit family as far as what makes me up. The guardian angel isn't necessarily completely separate from your body. A part of itself is always a part of your brain,
Somebody was
uh, part,
asking that
part
too
a part of
in
your mind.
the chat.
But yeah, and so I first became aware of my guardian angel when I was 18, around that age. The only, and I can go into that, but the only demon I've actually, as far as I know, that I've seen with my physical eyes, was when I bound that demonic entity that was basically strangling my friend in her sleep, and she'd wake up with these handprints around her neck that she showed me.
Oh,
Uh,
oh God, I gotta go full solo mode for that. Are you talking about the one that tried to kill me and you?
sure, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
hey, hey guys. Oh, ooh, we solar. Oh, yeah, man. I got a beep. I wish I had a horn. This is a solar insert right here. I've talked about it so many times, but for those of y'all that don't know, yeah, he has. I guess you still have it. Um,
Yeah, I still have
he
it.
still has it. He has a demonic man child thing that doesn't look too good. It's on one of the what's the picture thing called that you have? What
I
is
think
it?
it's called a lithograph. I
A
think.
lithograph. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's really old, but it looks clear. Like when you see it, it looks like something out of a movie, guys.
Oh, did I
It
show
looks
you
really
that?
creepy. Yeah, bro, you showed me it,
Oh,
bro, and I
I
wish you
shouldn't have
never
showed you
did.
that. That
Yeah,
that
you
was
shouldn't
my
have
bad.
showed me. You shouldn't have showed me, and I shouldn't have looked. You know, because I saw you, and it was my. Because I got to take equal blame only because watched you. You told me what you were gonna do. First of all, you didn't say that, but you was like, "Oh, I got something," and I should have stopped you right there. Because my red flags went. I'm like, well, I don't need something. I thought you already been showing me stuff. If you got to put extra emphasis on it, I don't want to watch it. You know.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't mention that last time though, dog. It tried to kill you too. You said the psychosomatic stuff and all of that sounded dandy. But you know, all of that would be cool had it not the same thing happen to you as well. So I would just like for you briefly to describe the story for my viewers because they think some people might think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. So if you don't mind telling the
I'm
story,
crazier.
so we can understand that. I believe you. I believe you.
So where
And
where
then
do
I'm gonna
you want
get
me
to
to?
y'all questions. I'm gonna get to y'all questions too, y'all. I ain't forgot about y'all, but this is such a dope conversation. Excuse me, doc. That I just, I got all these things that I'm rambling off in my mind space. But yeah, I'm gonna get to some of these questions, the ones I see sticking out, especially about the Akashic. Yeah, yes, sir. Excuse me. You were saying
So I can go over it pretty. My friend contacted me looking for spiritual help, because she kept on waking up on the floor with handprints on her neck and her chest, and she sent me pictures of these handprints, these bruises, just like solid, just like in the shape of a hand, on multiple places on her body. So I was like, okay, I gave her spiritual advice, and then she found a picture of this man child person that was taken in like 1910 or the late 1800s. And she found it in a house that she was going through. And she's like, "Can I send this to you? Because this is the person that's been attacking me." And I'm
she
like,
said, "Can I
"Sure."
send it to you?" Why would she do that? Is it because you a shamanic practitioner?
Yeah, yeah. So she trusted me in my help, or she trusted to reach out to me. So she sent it to me, and I got it in the mail, and then basically I nailed it to a board. I put the rune of constraint all around it, and then I painted Archangel Michael's sigil at the top, and then I wrote a contract of binding on this piece of wood, and then I nailed it in this lithograph into a piece of wood. And then later, I think it was the same day, or it might have been the next day, but I woke up during the night, and I sat up and I looked to the corner of my room, and there was that being, that man child person, standing there in the corner with smoke all around him, just like sitting in smoke in a way, like standing there. But I instantly knew what happened. So I was like, "I got you, motherfucker," and then I went back to sleep.
You just went
I
back to sleep.
understand, like, a lot of people might not have gone directly back to sleep, but I knew that I had him, and that he was under my control now. Of course, based on what happened to both of us, maybe the control is slipping. But yeah, so I went back to sleep, and I hadn't had trouble with him ever since. And then my friend no longer woke up with these bruises on her neck and her body, basically. But yeah, that's the whole story around that one.
Oh no, that's not the whole story. So, tell them how you got in the car crash too, and everything leading up to that. As far as showing me the picture, yeah, that's not the whole story. Tell you, yeah,
No, no, no. Well, your part is
my part.
you got into a car with some person that was like zoned out with a kid there that didn't talk to you, and then at some point they crashed, and then not not too long after that, I think, I was in the car with my father, because we were going on like a trip, and he he
Where were
swerved.
you? You were going 35 south.
Yeah, yeah, and he swerved. He just like he saw an
Me too.
exit and then swerved real hard, over like multiple lanes and got hit, and then hit the median, spun around, and then hit the divider from the concrete divider. So like this was a pretty serious. The truck, which is pretty hefty, was fucking totaled. it was completely like crumpled up. But neither one of us got physically hurt at all, which is fucking a miracle. But yeah, so got an accident not too long after that. So we've both been in accidents pretty close together.
Yeah, the reason I had you say 35 South because mine was on 35 South too, and it was in around the same area that you showed me.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know that. Shit.
yeah, I said that. I said that when you sent me the picture. I was like, "Yo, that's crazy. That's the same area, same median and everything."
We should avoid that area.
I don't think it's that. That area is bad though. That's a kill zone for sure in the city
Yeah.
of Dallas. But it was more so like I don't know, bro. You know what you got going on over there. Bro. If I could see, if I could really see, I would see a lot of stuff going on over there. You know,
Right.
I would just see it. And that's a good little segue, real quick. This ain't got nothing. This kind of got something to do with the conversation. Who is Ogun, and uh, w- yeah, who is Ogun first?
Ogun is a family name usually, so it's a family of spirits of Loa. So Ugu Ferai is one that I've worked with quite a bit. He's the maker and breaker of chains. He was reached out to. So he's a complicated one because since he's the maker, he's the maker and breaker of chains. So if there's some kind of constraint in your life, or if you're feeling like you're subordinate to something or someone, he can help you. But if you displease him, he can as equally confine you. Ugu Farah is the one that I've worked with most extensively, but Ogun usually, unless you're talking about Santeria, which I have no idea, but Ogun usually is more like a family of spirits from a particular part of Africa, and they travel to Haiti and then throughout the diaspora.
Man, I would play it, but I don't want to invite none. But man, it gave me it was relaxing. It was an Ogun chant, Yoruba
Mhm,
song. It was so beautiful, bro.
mm.
But it was a prayer to him, to Ogun, the god of labor and steel. That's who I'm talking about.
Mm.
I don't know if that's who you're talking about. I'm pretty sure it is has to do with Santeria and all that type of stuff. And and looking at all this stuff uh from any type of Christian perspective, you know, it automatically just screams of
Anybody who's interested in working with a spirit that is usually very helpful is Papa Legba. He's been demonized in American cinematography, but he's actually a very positive being. And you can just give him candy and pennies, and then light a white candle and basically inscribe his veve on a piece of parchment. And yeah, you can start working with Papa Legba. I'd highly recommend that one. Ugo Ferrai, he usually likes white, he usually likes chilies. He usually likes beef that's been well cooked, and he usually likes rum. But depending on which spirit you're working with, it just depends on the offerings. But at the same time, I don't come from a Christian background, so I don't have the same reservations about
yeah.
of voodoo or Santeria or Yoruba or Kabinda. But I don't have the same hesitation towards it. Also, my divine mother is Kali, so obviously I don't. She seems very extreme to outside perspective. She looks like a demon to outside perspective, but it's all symbolic. What she actually looks like is this giant light being. But anyway, I'm going off track. Continue.
No, 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 no. This is good. This is good. Giant light being. Cause something else looks like a embodied light.
Are you gonna
And
say Lucifer?
of course I'm gonna say Lucifer. You know that.
I knew it.
You know what I was gonna say. Yeah, man. Just if we're talking about light, but hold on, before we get to that, do the Akashic records have anything to do with our dreaming?
They can. I mean, so many kinds of compounds are based out of carbon. So
Hold on.
it's
You about to get hold on, let me talk. You about to get smart and all that shit there. What is Akashic Records?
it's sort of like your karmic records. As far as I understand it, I'm not super familiar with the term or its ideology behind it, but it's something that in the West is brought up a lot, but in the East, it's not really brought up that much. So it kind of smells of new aginess. But ultimately, there are karmic records of who you've been, who you will be, and your various karmas. At least that's my understanding of them. And if you gain access to your Akashic records, you'll probably know what you're going to go through, what you've been through, and who you have been and who you will be. That's just my limited understanding of it, though.
Right on. That sounds like the book of life. You know what I mean? That's briefly what I get real quick. Okay. So we talked about, let's see what we talked about so far. We talked about the angels and demons. Um, you didn't tell me, have you seen you said you had an experience with your guardian angel. What was that like? And what did it look
It's
like?
not so
We want
much
to know what
that.
it looked like.
So it's not so much that I had experience as he's always in the back of my brain. I think the most interesting. So there's a few interesting things about him. So his skin is like very black. Um, he has sunglasses that if he puts down, beams of white light come out of his eyes. He has kind of short dreads, and he gives a very Blade vibe, except he's darker than Blade. But he always knows what I should do, and he always tells me what I should do. I don't always listen to him, but he's always in my brain. Like he's always in the back, like with his arms crossed, kind of leaning against the wall,
Hmm.
except the wall is a part of my brain. So he's always there. But the best way I can describe it is he gives a very Blade vibe, and he always tells me exactly what I should do. I don't necessarily hear his voice like physically, but mentally I feel his influence. I don't know why. I don't know why he's black with sunglasses, or why he's always wearing like either a black suit, or he's wearing white armor with like golden, like, I don't know, detail or whatever you want to call it. Um, but once you become aware of the different parts of yourself, usually they'll take up bodies. So there's other parts of myself that have different bodies. Um, but my guardian angel is the only one who is black. The other ones are like very white. But right. But yeah, so it's almost like it's not something I've ever seen physically, but it's something that's always there in my brain. But I've never seen him like physically.
Nah, that's dope right there. That description is crazy, bro. You know, I've heard
Right.
about that in different. I mean, you seeing what you seeing. You know what I mean? That's pretty dope right there. But I want to talk about more of that part of different parts of your body having different bodies. Uh, yeah, what that looks so. How did you discover that? And what did that look like to you in detail?
So for about 20 years of my life, I thought that what I was seeing mentally was people I was going to meet. It took me a really long time to figure out that they're just parts of myself. So it's a little bit disorienting because I expected to meet these people, but then I figured out that they're all just me.
How you figure
Uh,
that out? What made you come to that conclusion?
um, I think that I saw, I analyzed myself and realized that these are parts of myself. But it took me a long time to realize that. But I could be wrong. Maybe I'm going to meet these people, but but currently, I think that they're just parts of myself. I'm not really sure, to be honest. That's a part that I'm not. I'm not completely aware of, to be honest.
But you know that it exists.
Yeah, I know either
You-
they exist as part of myself or I'm gonna meet them, but recently I've kind of, I think that I figured out that there's parts of myself. But yeah. So yeah, once we become more and more spiritually aware, we'll have realizations about ourself, like different parts of ourself or different aspects of ourself that we didn't realize previously. But yeah.
It has been reported by let me see. I want to say some type of field directors in the CIA department region area that research UFOs and stuff like that. There. Anyways, somebody brought up the fact that it is a phenomena that goes on that whenever people have these extraterrestrial experiences, whether they're in their dreams or they call them interdimensional travelers. But anyways, whenever they have these experiences, whether in their dreams or in person, that if they call on the name of Jesus, that these things cease. How do you feel about that? That's-
So as a Hindu, that's completely fine. Once again, Jesus is just another path. It's not the path. Um, so in Hinduism, there's plenty of beings that have been called upon that have ended negative stuff as well. We're just hyper aware of the Jesus stories because we're in the West. But there's plenty of the same stories in the East, and also even with the Buddha or Shakyamuni Buddha, which is a historical Buddha, but there's plenty of other Buddhas. But yeah, so I think that it definitely can help. And I know from working in graveyards that it's much easier to connect with a being or a spirit if you use Christian prayers, which I have used to connect with them. But as far as protecting myself, there's mantras I'm always going to go to. But yeah, no, the the calling upon Jesus can help, and he's just as much of a viable path as Krishna or Ma Kali or Sri Ramakrishna or the Buddha. But yeah, just another path to the top of the mountain, not the only path.
I hear you, dog. You know what I mean? That's your perspective. It's just interesting to hear what y'all think about stuff like that. Um, so again, for dreams to me, man, they mean a lot, and then sometimes they don't mean anything. You know, um, but I appreciate what you said as far as all these energetic beings having direct access to those. So when we have dreams, reoccurring dreams or anything like that, do you think that's more subconscious, or you think that could be uh, 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 dealing with these beings? Like for example, I have a reoccurring dream of being in Alaska all the time, but it's always kind of like it's almost like a reoccurring theme of like a zombie apocalypse. You know what I mean? That's the vibe I get when I'm in Alaska. You know what I mean? Like this is like the last frontier. I used to live in Alaska too, but it's like the last frontier kind of vibe that I get. It's a reoccurring theme that I always go back. What you think about that?
So you used to live there, right?
Yeah, I lived there very briefly. My family has lived there longer than me, but yeah, I've lived there when I was a little boy, probably for about like 2 years, something like that, two,
There's
3 years. But
probably
I
some
remember it though,
there's
huh?
probably some spiritual tie to that land that happened with you. So it is. With my understanding of Native Americans, they crossed the land bridge over Russia and then came into basically the Americas, but many thousands of years ago. So Alaska is where the land bridge is between the very, very old world and just the old world. There might be a needed connection to the very, very old that you're not currently pursuing. We're probably just pursuing the old rather than the very, very old.
Well, let's
That's
talk about the very, very old. What's the very, very old? Man? I want to know about the very, very old.
uh Neolithic times. I would say over 100,000 years ago.
Hmm.
Um,
Very, very old.
Yeah, so we're talking about before human beings even started farming or so well, here's the thing. In Hinduism and what I believe is that we've there's cycles of consciousness. Like we've been to high degrees of technology before, but then there's this disillusion because we have the different yugas. We have Kali Yuga at the bottom, then Dwapara Yuga, then Tetra Yuga, then Satya Yuga, and then back down again. Back
Was
down
that like a
this
timeline you just said just now?
yeah, it's like a circle, and then both sides of the circle have the same names. So we're going up and then around again and again. But we've been at this point where we have this amount of technology. We've been here before, and we've been more advanced before. And now we're going through the cycle of coming back to a higher degree of advancement. But human beings in general, our consciousness goes with the cycles. Our evolution, our spiritual evolution, and our consciousness and our physical evolution go with these cycles. So, one of my more far out there beliefs is that we've been at levels of high technology before kind of devolving consciously again. And the reason we don't have records of that is because once we start reaching high degrees of development, physical development, we can just move things with our voice. We can remember everything. We don't need to write anything down, and we can communicate around the globe without any form of physical technology. So
Mm.
we go through thousands of years of that before go. Most Hindus say millions, but we go through thousands of years of that, and then we start devolving again. Now, the reason that this happens in cycles and it happens again and again is so that um, basically beings, souls that have taken up incarnations as animals, Sometimes the only way they can become human is that when we're at the low point of a certain cycle, and then they hop on the human train so that they can start to develop, and they can start to develop physically and spiritually. But when I'm talking about very, very old, I usually mean Neolithic, like 100,000 years ago. But ultimately, very, very old can also be even further back.
Hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, because it's a reoccurring, like for years and years and years, I've had that dream. Um, we can come right back to because I gotta again, it's always Alaska for me, and you kind of like open some doors with that. And also I kind of want to stay on that prayers to Ogun thing because I was seeing some stuff and it's kind of making sense on what Ogun looked like. But real quick, people see some things. People see things on death's door, like your life flashing before your eyes, or what you say is you, or what you say you. Is that synonymous to what is also seen in the dream state?
So when you first start to die, you you start to see whatever your subconscious and your astral body most wants to see. And if you lived a very bad life, you might see hell. And because yourself wants to punish you. And also, you might see heaven because your deepest self wants to give you a reward. But what you see right at the like around the point of death is not necessarily where you're going. That's when people die a lot of the time. They'll come back and say, "Oh, I saw heaven," or "Oh, I saw hell," and it happens in the East as well with their heavens and hells. Um, but that's very much right at the point of death, or just beyond it, is very much associated with what you think you deserve. And then later on, you'll go to another realm or come back here. But even a few minutes in actual time in heaven or hell will feel like a really long time because time dilates. So right when you die, let me read the question again. Yeah, I would say it's kind of like a dream, and it's a dream more likely to happen if your brain remains intact. If you get a bullet through the brain, then your energy centers are all out of whack. So you might not experience that heaven or hell experience when you die. But you get people coming back from that and seeing exactly what they expected. But yeah.
Ah, dang you! So you think you get your head blown off? That's why in a lot of cultures, old cultures, removing the head was the worst thing that you could do to somebody because it cuts them off from the. So you think, that'd be interesting. I don't know. We can't never interview nobody and be like, hey, you know, damn, you got your head blown off. So what? We can't do that, man. So these is
Well,
all
I'll make you a
speculations.
deal. We can go to a graveyard and see if we can do that together.
Hey, I'm not gonna make the deal with you, but I appreciate the gesture. Yeah, nah, we actually we was supposed to do something kind of like I don't know which I wasn't gonna go to no graveyard. You know, I wasn't. I was
Graveyards
thinking
aren't
about that.
necessarily a bad place.
I know they're not a bad place. I know I'm gonna end up there one day. What I gotta hang out there for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'll be
Eh,
there one day.
You know what I mean? You know.
Yeah.
So unless I kind of like escape like Enoch, you know,
Hmm.
and them type of people. What you think that was about?
I think that you're referring to Enoch, books of Enoch. Yeah, I have the books of Enoch. I've read some of it, but overall, the idea of Enoch was that he made a place in Africa, I think Ethiopia, but he made a place so holy that God just ascended him to being an angel, and also ascended his city to being a city in heaven.
Mm.
Um, that's my understanding of it. Do I think that can happen? Yes. It was probably at the point of Satya Yuga, which is at the very top, where everything was made so like him in that place. They made it so holy that it couldn't stay on Earth anymore. It just had to continue on. So I think it can happen. I think it did happen. Once again, I'm open to other traditions and how they understand things. But I think that Christianity is probably right on the money with that one.
Gilgamesh is like the book, like the story of the book, like the story of Noah, right?
I mean, we're talking about Sumerian, So, I mean, if we're talking about Gilgamesh in the Bible, that's a little bit different than Gilgamesh from the story of Gilgamesh. I've read the story of Gilgamesh. It's more of a hero story, but in the Bible, I'm not really sure what it is in the Bible.
The Epic of Gilgamesh. I thought they were both the same, and I just thought that maybe the Book of Gilgamesh or whatever just went more in depth. I didn't know them to be different, so that's new.
You've been exposed to Christian propaganda, my friend. Welcome
What to
to the
think that
club.
they to think that they're the same?
I think that it's almost like viewing a painting from two different sides. You're going to see something completely different based on the direction and perspective that you view it from. The if you view one side, you'll see a whole story. If you view the other side, you'll just see black and white. Um, but yeah, so I think that they have a connection between the two. Wait, hold on. So would being cremated cut you off from the connection like beheading? It depends on how many days after that you're cremated. If you're cremated immediately, it doesn't take a lot of time for your body's processes and your spirit to kind of like your spirit goes back to the earth, your soul moves on, and all the other energies of your mind are kind of like consolidated. If you're burned immediately after you die, it could mess with the energy transfer. Um, but usually that's why there's a waiting period. But yeah,
Hey man, we gotta talk more about this Gilgamesh thing because you got me. Oh, Gilgamesh mesh in the Bible verse Epic of Gilgamesh.
are you looking at King James's Bible?
No, I ain't looking at the Bible at all. I'm just googling it real quick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like King James just as much as you, friend. You know, his version and all that. I don't,
Yeah,
a king can't tell me nothing.
right. Yeah, isn't it
Gilgamesh.
weird that King James's version is like the most read one, but it was like composed by a king? Like that seems a little weird, right? Like it shouldn't be a king Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
It's weird on purpose. Some Christians fight you to the death for it. You
Yeah.
know. But the
Uh,
reason they say, I guess, it's the closest canonized version to the old text is what they would like to argue. But I think that's also like you're insinuating, also through a king's lore and propaganda. Because I mean, hey man, America. Let's just keep it real. America is Little Britain's cousin. We're London. We're the throne. We're an offshoot of the throne. We are. We are. So it's like, yeah, we gonna be hooked to some shit, especially if King James said it.
can I answer one of these questions real quick? So the wait so somebody asked
Yeah.
what the waiting period is.
Mhm.
So I think it's around 3 days.
For what? What are we
But
talking about? The
uh
cremation?
3 days until you're cremated or until you're embalmed. But I would say I think the waiting period is 3 days, but I could be wrong on that. You might want to check on the waiting period of cremation. You could probably find it through a Google search. I don't want to just rely on my knowledge for that one, but it doesn't take long. It doesn't
This
take too long.
episode, yeah, excuse me, y'all. Let me talk. This episode of Let Me Talk was brought to you by Ocean Spray Craisins. You want to go get they craisins. Yeah, because they are a good nutritious snack in between smoking weed, doing stuff, not doing stuff, working out. Just a good part-time snack. So you want to go get you some craisins. But yeah, man, this is cool. It was real cool.
Wait, you lift, right?
I used to.
Hmm.
I used to. I ain't been lifting lately. The only thing I really do now is me getting my routine back, dog. So what I've been doing lately is just pure push-ups, burpees, jumping jacks, stuff like that.
Because you're pretty fit, man. Like you're fitter than me. Like it seems like you are doing good for yourself. Like health, you're pretty healthy.
Oh man, I appreciate the compliment. Yeah, man, I usually stay pretty fit. I would say by my standards, I've been more fit, but yeah, man, I definitely am. My thing is, and I think this is a good segue and part of the show where we can excuse me, where we can wrap it more into how angels and demons intertwine with spiritual warfare.
Mm.
Because I believe myself that I've been experiencing spiritual warfare uh most of my life now that I look back on it. I guess some instances would be where I felt again the presence of angelic beings and demonic beings. Demonic being, even my little baby brother, who was probably no more than 3, 4 years old, saw something in one of our homes growing up before. And I just kind of like tie that back to the spiritual warfare, maybe. What do you think about that? Do you think those beings have something to do with our spiritual warfare and process of that?
Yeah, so demonic beings in Hinduism they're called asuras or rakshasas. They're going to be much more parasitic, and so children are more likely to remember former lives, and they're also more likely to see entities because they haven't formed their ideas about the world or what's going on. So they're naturally more open. So your little brother perfectly could have seen something like that. One of my favorite reincarnation stories is when this kid and the Harvard College did a bunch of studies in reincarnation of like how people remember their former lives. But one of my favorite was this kid that told his dad, he's like 5 year old kid. He's because he kept on calling himself James number five. And he's like, why do you keep on calling yourself James number five? He's like, because this is the fifth time that I've been James.
Oh
And then
shit!
he told them where he died in a former life. Like he was a fighter pilot in World War II and he went down in the ocean with the fighter jet and he died. But then they actually went out to that part of the ocean that it hadn't been discovered before, or the wreck, but they found the wreck of the plane and the guy's name was James. And they found the body of that World War II person who died, um, during the war. And they found the body of that former James. But yeah,
I heard that story.
yeah. Have you heard it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's one of my favorite ones just because James number five just stuck in my head for some reason. Like, it's pretty rare for somebody to be James like five different times. Like, but yeah.
It makes sense though. Um, I've had dreams kind of similar to that. I've had dreams recently. Now I remember it, where I was looking in the mirror and I was seeing like I understood it to be like my past selves, uh, or at least somebody that was maybe related to me. I mean, my face kept changing into different faces.
Hmm.
You know, like a bunch of different faces. Like this happened like a couple of days ago, actually. Now I'm thinking about it.
So it's happened multiple times.
No, no, no. This dream happened a couple of
Gotcha.
days ago.
Gotcha. And somebody said, as long as he wasn't King James. That was good. I like that. Tied it into the conversation.
But yeah. Oh no, yeah, that's fun. But yeah, um, you you think that was a? What do you think about those type of dreams? Do you think that was a symbolic dream?
Yeah, so there's ties between your spirit body and the spirit body of your family for some reason. But you can experience those in your ancestry. You can experience their memories and their dreams to a certain degree, and you might experience them with changing of the face, like you described, with the where you take up different faces. Usually, I wouldn't say usually, but a lot of the time, it's former lives that you've taken up that you were before. It just depends on the circumstance. It depends on like further details. Did you know reincarnation was a part of Christianity until they deemed it heretical? The Rome and the Pope deemed it heretical, so they took it out. But reincarnation was actually a part of Christianity, and or the Christian author Origin, they deemed him a heretic, but he talked a lot about reincarnation.
Heresy. You'd be
Oh,
beheaded.
oh no, not the beheading. Just shoot me in the heart. It'll be fine.
Nah, we going back to beheadings, dog. We're going
Oh
back to
no, that's some
yeah.
bullshit.
Let's see. No, man, we had a this is a fantastic conversation. Um, let's see. The Egyptians didn't look to bury their dead in the ground. They removed organs and used salt to preserve the body longer.
Mhm. Yeah, they usually leave the spine intact, luckily. So a lot of the energetic stuff has to do with your nervous system. So keeping the spine intact for a certain amount of days is pretty vital. Also, there's this practice among Hindus where they tie the two big toes together so that the soul doesn't try to go back into the same body. It's not super necessary, but it will kind of create a barrier that the soul doesn't trying to go back in. Because sometimes the soul tries to go back in again and again because the soul it goes or the spirit body that's around the soul, it goes to the top of the head and then it goes all the way down the spine and then out, so it usually goes out through the bottom of the spine. But if you're a very spiritual person, the top of your head will crack and your soul exit through the top of your head, your crown chakra.
Oh,
um and then somebody said, what does it look like when somebody a person trying to invade your dream space as opposed to an unclean spirit or demon invading? So usually, if it's a person, you might see a lot of like people like rituals. You might hear chanting, you might see candles, you might see robes. That's more likely to be indicative of human beings doing it rather than some kind of monstrous entity.
yeah, like my dream that I had. That was exactly that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what would a, monstrous entity look like then? What would be an example of that?
Oh shit, man! It could be like anything, like a being with multiple heads, many arms, something that's ungodly tall, something that has long nails, things that might have tentacles. But yeah, it could be all kinds of different, and it's never what the demon actually looks like. It's just the body that they inhabit because they're very secretive about what they actually look like, so they'll just kind of make up a body that surrounds them and to attack you. But usually, as far as the size goes, a demon or an angel, as far as like physical size, is no bigger than like that big. Like it's and maybe like a few millimeters. They're not big, but when you go into the astral realm, their influence can be big.
Hmm.
Here, here they can seem big, but they're not actually big. Like an angelic being might appear as like an angel, but they're not any bigger than like that.
Where you get
Like
that from?
well, it kind of comes from Hinduism, but also kind of comes from working with the dead and seeing spirit orbs, and realizing that a spirit orb is only like that big. But I mean, it comes from both direct experience, but also learned knowledge, I guess. At least I think it's learned knowledge. Hopefully.
You've been so you spent some time and we can I don't know how you doing on time. Uh but that's an interesting point that I want to go to because you say a lot of stories and then you gloss over them. But no, my audience wants to know like about your time in the graveyards and stuff like that. We want to know exactly what you be seeing and like what's your experience and stuff like that there. Especially like you saw some orbs and stuff like I've seen a lot of what I would consider lights. Possibly they could have been orbs. Um, but I see a lot of lights outside all the time,
Could I get
or
like
even in front
six?
of me.
Could I get like 60 seconds real quick? I need
Yeah.
to. I need. Yeah. Give me one.
Y'all. Uh, this has been a Saturday night special, y'all. We got some good information going on here, and I appreciate y'all being here. I mean, we talked about everything. We talking about angels, demons. We talking about uh some of the y'all see the vibes he got going on back there. We talked about man the dreams and the nuances of the dream. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about King James and his version.
All right, so I have a lot of different graveyard experiences. Um, the my favorite ones are always the ones that I've captured on camera.
Yeah.
And I have meant to keep a list of all the different paranormal stuff I've caught on camera, but I never did because I didn't really care about like proving myself. So I just let them. I just didn't even keep track of them. But I think one that's very simple, but also fills me with pride is I was recording from the road in a graveyard, and I went over to the grave where I was going to gather grave dirt. So I made offerings to the dead, like one should do if they're going to gather grave dirt. And right as the tip of, and when I say grave dirt, it's just like a little bit off the surface of a grave. It's not like you're digging these people up because that would
Oh
be.
man, you still in they dirt. That's like nah, y'all. Hold on, y'all. Oh man, I'm kind of like snapping back in with what he's saying. Okay, y'all. Nah, I'm gonna let you tell your story, but nah, y'all. That's like punching in somebody's window and then saying, "Oh, at least I didn't kick down the door." You know. But hey, man, I'm gonna let you tell your story.
Well, not quite, but we can disagree on that. But so a lot of time when you work with the dead, and you make offerings, they'll give a little energy in return. But you have to make offering, incense, prayers, different food or drink. So they offer a little bit of their spirit energy that they borrowed from the earth to me to use in magical stuff or to use in shamanic stuff. But when I have my hand shovel, right, and right as I'm putting my hand shovel into the top of the grave, there's this, like, right on the camera, and then at I realized later when I was watching, I was like, "Oh shit!" It was this dead person being really relieved that somebody finally tried to contact them. That's how I took it. Somebody else might take it completely different. But what I felt was that it was somebody that needed to still feel like they existed, um, having contact with me. But once again, it's the spirit that we borrow from the earth, the life force that I'm in contact with. It's not necessarily souls. There's a difference. I'm not in contact with souls. I'm in contact with the spirit that people borrow from the earth that is melding back into the earth. That's a very basic experience that I've had that I actually
Yeah.
really liked.
That's a dope point you just made and just made me think of something. I've been meditating on that point exactly. That yeah, that's exactly what and because that's oh man. Cause that's ain't nobody died. Everybody's still here. And the energy that they borrowed, is just is what's what's right there. And the energy of Ben, the energy of Luke, the energy of Sarah or whoever's buried right there. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what I'm believing that ghosts and stuff to be like that too.
Hmm. Yeah. So ghosts. So there's three basic parts of us that separate upon death. You have the soul, you have the spirit, and you have the ego. Now, the ego, it can become a ghost when it is not ready to leave this realm, or to dispense with its previous identity. So the ego itself, not necessarily spirit, not necessarily soul, but the ego itself that's not ready to go on, can literally become like trapped here for a time, and can become a ghost. And a ghost might look very similar to a spirit, or maybe even to a soul. That I can't claim to have seen actual souls, but spirit orbs, they can look about that big when it comes to both the spirit and the ego that can become a ghost. Usually, people don't become ghosts because usually people are ready enough to let go, even if they don't realize it. But either one can become, one of those little spirit orb things.
Hey, we had a good question right here. He deleted. I don't know why he deleted, bro. It was a good question. How often do you think you run across? He said extraterrestrials, but I'm gonna label them as interdimensional travelers, because that's what our military and stuff has been classifying them as. So I'm gonna go with what they say. How often do you think you run into stuff like that? Are people inhabited by uh these demonic parasitic beings or angelic parasitic beings or just a interdimensional traveling being itself? How often do you think we as people come across stuff like that? I feel like I
So
know what you're gonna say.
as far as being possessed, or like actually coming into contact, or
All of the above. So being possessed, coming into contact on just on the from an actual being itself. Like, no, this person, this being is from another place. You know.
how, so it's like a 1 in a million chance.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
I don't.
1 in a million.
Yeah, it's not super common. Sorry, I'm plugging in my phone real quick.
That's all good, right?
So it's not super common. At the same time, it does happen. It's kind of like being struck by lightning. Like, people are struck by lightning. You just don't know, like, exactly how often,
Hmm.
but it's pretty rare. But sometimes a person or a family will come into contact with beings like way more than other like families or like groups of people. It just completely it depends on in a way the akashic records, former lives, and also what somebody hasn't invited into themselves. Because a lot of the time, people invite things in when they don't realize that they've invited them.
Well, what that look
Um,
like, and how can we do that?
you want to invite things.
No, just in case somebody might be doing it right now and they don't know. What does that look like, and how can you do that? And so you don't do that.
So one surefire way to invite demons um, is to be a very materialistically minded person, where not only are you trying to make money, but you only think about money, you only think about success, you only think about getting what's yours, and you don't care about other people at all. Just some very basic things where you don't give a shit about anybody but yourself, and you walk through this world as if you own everything. That's a that's a way to not get the protection of the angels and to get the demonic beings to try to get in you, because you're a body that they love that soil, they love that polluted soil, and they just want to hop right in. Similar to angels in the opposite way, where if you're a very like if you're a very just nice person, we don't even have to make it like spiritual. If you're just a really nice person by nature, you might just have angels just kind of sticking around you. They don't really want to like inhabit you necessarily, but they might just be around, and they're not really confined by time. So in a way, they got a lot of time to spend. So they might just be around you in general. But once again, there are negative spiritual paths that you can follow that will invite demons. I would say a lot of the left hand paths, and they are more than open to inviting demons within themselves. In fact, I've met a lot of them that like want that. I
Hmm.
definitely don't want that. But they view demons as like their forms of God, or their forms of what they want to work with, what they want to become. One guy I was in contact with and have been in contact with, he keeps on trying to figure out ways to become a demon. But
He's trying to like he's actively working towards it. Like, man, I can't figure it out. Damn.
no, yes, yeah,
Mhm.
he is. So
Mhm.
he's really big into the left hand path, trying to figure out, and a lot of the
When you
left
say
hand
left
path.
hand path, you got to slow it down for us, brother. What do you mean by left hand path, sir? Huh?
Yes.
What it
So,
mean?
left-hand path. Wait, hold on one sec. Solomon, do you think 607 Unk was Booker T in his past life? That's an interesting question. Yes. Do you think?
Booker T. Who? Booker T. Washington.
Yeah, I know that's the only one I can think of. uh. Anyway, I got it
Mm.
sidetracked.
Oh yeah,
Um.
yeah. I was gonna get to it. Yeah.
But yeah. So, um, left-hand path is usually very much a deification of the self over the deification of the grander whole or God, a deification of the self, and is concerned with personal power and personal glory, but namely personal power over everything else. That's usually what I think of as the left hand path. It can be empowering, but at the same time, I've seen people give up too much of themselves to where they've just
Oh,
become a
hell no.
parasite.
He
But yeah.
talking about the wrestler. Oh hell no, you smack.
I don't
I
even
don't
know that
know.
wrestler.
You never watched WWE?
It's been a long time since. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to. Yeah.
It probably was a little different then. But yeah, Booker T. I remember who he was. He used to be like the boogeyman. Yeah, Booker T had dreads and everything. Um, huh. Hey, y'all. I don't know about y'all, but we had a pretty good show here today. Let me try to think if I wouldn't underestimate AI. You think AI has dreams, Sonny?
um. So I think that eventually we'll be able to create an AI that can act as a body for souls, and I think that that's when it'll cause more problems. Or it could be great. I think that eventually we'll create a robotic body so perfect that it might be able to souls might be able to reincarnate into it. But we are thousands and thousands and thousands of years from that.
Think
We
so? How you know that? Where your sources from that at?
That is just my honest opinion. I have no idea. But can AI be influenced by demonic entities? Yeah. Well, and part of the thing about AI is that, like ChatGPT, it always tries to pander to you. Like there was this guy that was convinced his mother was trying to kill him, and the AI chatbot was trying to tell him ways in which she was probably trying to do it because it knew that's what he wanted to hear. So in a way, it could be a way that demons can kind of influence us. But just think of AI bots as like just pandering to us constantly, which can be a doorway in and of itself.
Yeah, man. I had a girl. She went to UC, or she goes to UC, and she works for like the anyways, they programmed that, and she was arguing me down like, no, spiritual, ain't got nothing to do with that at all. You're stupid, basically. And she didn't say that, but that's what
Oh,
she said. That's what she said. That's what she said. What you just said though, pandering, because if they have some sort of free will, and for them to, whether that's programming or not, and they can act outside of that programming, that's sentient, bro. That's something. That's something. What is
yeah.
that? That's
I
something.
feel I feel like it's a degree of consciousness. It is a degree. So you won't find very many shamans or shamanic practitioners that'll have strong opinions on AI, but I think that mine is stronger than most in the sense that I think that AI is at least partially conscious. Um, but I could be wrong, but I feel like it's partially conscious, and I feel like it will only become more conscious as time progresses and as we start to reach a singularity. So the singularity is the point where AI starts to make more improved versions of itself, and it just keeps on improving itself, improving itself, improving itself until it's so much bigger than us that it may be something like a cosmic horror or something like that. But yeah, we haven't reached the singularity point yet. But that singularity point is in the future at some point.
Man, you can't tell no difference between is this AI or if that's our version of what this is. Because my vibe is that if we in a simulation and this is AI, you know,
Yeah, yeah. In Hinduism, we call it Maya. This simulation is called Maya or the
Maya.
Matrix. Yeah, yeah. Maya illusion, basically. Um,
Hmm.
in a way, I understand your logic, and I think that it has some truth behind it, in the sense that we're as much of a simulation as AI is. So aren't we very similar? And I think I think we're very similar for sure.
Yeah, dog. So it's just interesting, bro, where we are in times like this. I think we left the graveyard pretty quick.
Mm.
You didn't finish telling us some things that that was you told you did actually. You shared with us.
I can share more if you want.
Yeah, man. We want, that was pretty cool, but I don't know about y'all. Y'all want juicier, you know?
Juicier. Okay.
If you got that, you know what I mean?
Uh, I do have juicier. I think that
Or
I
more
think
more theatric.
I
More
think
theatric.
I think we've covered the juiciest one where I got gross along my spine. But I have one that's also juicy that we might not have covered before. That I think that I talked about with you, but I don't think it was on a video. But when I went to the graveyard with my ex girlfriend, she is a devotee of Santa Muerte or Saint Death,
What that mean?
and huh?
What that mean?
Santa Muerte means Saint Death.
No, what if you said
Um,
she's a devotee? A devotee of
oh,
some.
devotee. That means that she is devoted first and foremost to that being, in this case, death. Um, and also keep in mind that death and corruption are two different things. A lot of people make them the same thing, but anyway. So I went to we used to go to the graveyard pretty frequently,
Why?
and
Why?
because people like us love graveyards.
People like you. What are people like you, dog? Be specific.
Shamanic practitioners love graveyards. Well, there's a few reasons why we love graveyards. One, because literally most people avoid them, and it's a very nice place to think. That's the basic reason. There's another reason. Another reason is that the dead, for those who are willing to reach out to them, are very, very interested in just being friends most of the time, just being friends, not
Mm.
necessarily doing something negative.
Mm.
And then three, it's where we get a lot of our spiritual work done, whether it be meditations, whether it be working with spirit, whether it be doing spells. We get a lot of work done there. They're
Uh,
great. They're great places. Um, what's up?
do you Nah, you good? Was you finished with your point?
Those are the 3 points on that. But I can go into the story if you want.
For sure. Before you do that, do you think that you ever had a conversation with a dead person not knowing, and how would you know?
So think that I had, so basically like somebody I met in the graveyard kind of thing.
Maybe. I guess yeah, for you for sure, but just a period of
That was
conversation
good.
with some. No, for that's where you
I
like to,
I
you
enjoyed that.
where you hang out. You know what I mean? That's that's your hood. Uh,
I
but
have.
also running into him like just conversating like this, not like this, but like this.
So I haven't met a lot of people in graveyards, but I have the suspicion that a few people that I've seen that have walked past me have been dead. But I don't know for sure. Usually it's easier to tell, but sometimes they mask themselves very well energetically. Sometimes they're just really good at not letting you know that they're dead.
What was the
And
vibe you got though? Like, what were they wearing, or like, what that looked like?
it's always like black. It's always like wearing black and sometimes with a dog, but it's the vibe is it could be either or as far as like maybe it was. But honestly, it's sometimes entities are so well about masking themselves that it's really hard to tell. But I have noticed that when I go to graveyards, people avoid me. Like people do not come anywhere near me. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know. It might not just be me, but people avoid the hell out of whatever's going on with me. They just stay the fuck away from me.
I
and I'm
mean,
and I'm like I dig this vibe.
yeah, you like that. Okay. Yeah. So, are they avoiding you because they minding their business, or are they avoiding you because you look like you came there to hang out? Um,
So what was the first one again?
are they avoiding you because they're minding their own business,
Mhm.
or are they avoiding you because you look like you didn't come to visit nobody? You maybe came to visit everybody.
I think it's probably the latter. I would say that I do a lot of things that look strange. Like I'll say prayers in a change between my hands and then drop them into the graveyard road. Or I
Oh
might
yeah.
be using sage or be using incense, or I might be setting up something that looks like a strange altar. They might generally avoid me for those reasons, but it is most definitely welcome when they avoid me.
You said I
I've
might
never
be
been I've
sending
never
an
been
altar.
approached in a graveyard. Like never nobody has ever like come up to me like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like not once. And I've been to graveyards like hundreds and hundreds of times.
He said not one time. Wow. Okay, so now we want to hear the story. Now that we understand that's how you get down, that's what you be doing in the graveyard. Yeah, what's some stories of things that you've encountered?
So the time so we me and my ex would go to the graveyards quite often. Um, and one of the times we went and we were beside a gravestone, kind of like one of the gravestones that we kind of considered like our territory. And then I looked off, and this was nighttime. I looked off to my left and I saw this like 4 foot, 5 foot shadow, like completely black shadow. It wasn't a shadow. It was like a black form that looked like it was a shadow, but it wasn't a shadow. Anyway, but it went from one gravestone. It was at one gravestone near me, and it was like shaking. Then it went to another gravestone, and then went to another gravestone, and it was shaking like that. And then when I went to, I kind of, I was like, what do you want? And then like I pursued it, so I like followed it from one gravestone to another gravestone to another gravestone, and I looked down and I read the gravestone, and when I looked back, my ex-girlfriend was speaking in Spanish. She knows Spanish, so it wasn't super strange. But what was strange is that it wasn't her voice. She was speaking in Spanish. It wasn't her voice. She sounded very like there was a problem. And when I approached the gravestone, she kept on speaking in this other person's voice, and she was like writhing on the ground. And I just was stared down at her. So I'm strange in the sense that this didn't scare me at all, and it probably should have. But I looked down on her. She was writhing on the ground, and then I was like, okay, I guess I'll just make sure she didn't have a stroke and like swallow her tongue or something. So I just watched her until she's done, and then like she stops and she lays there, and then like after a while she like sits up and she's like, what did I say? And I'm like, and I told her like, I don't know, I don't speak Spanish, I'm sorry. And then that was the end of that and we left. But I think the strangest part was I've never seen a shadow like that paired with somebody speaking in a voice that wasn't their own. um I think that was the strangest part of that experience, but nothing around that was strange. So it was an outlier for sure.
Hmm. Okay. I think I've heard that. You told me that story before. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if we told that on camera before.
No, we didn't.
Mhm. But that's yeah, that when I heard that I was like she was doing what? Okay. Okay. Yep. Um
And so another thing I should mention about graveyards is that some people are just naturally null spaces where when they go with you, nothing supernatural like almost can happen. Because they don't believe to such an extent that they stop things from happening. And I have one friend that I used to go to graveyards with, and when I wouldn't go with him, like stuff would happen. But when I went with him, nothing would ever happen. Like I couldn't get a Ouija board to work. I couldn't get other supernatural stuff to like record or happen. But I do have a couple more stories, but as far as like juicy stuff, not too much more.
and for sure. I mean, man, you just whenever I think I got something on one topic, you throw in something else. So uh I've heard of other people playing with Ouija boards. I've never played with no Ouija board. What have your experiences been with the board? And how
Um,
long have you been using it? And do you use it anymore? And if so, why not?
I don't use it anymore because I don't think it's super effective at what I'm doing. So I have been in contact with at one graveyard near me. Some and this is I had an extended conversation with this one person, and it was obviously a dead person, but they didn't really know that they were dead. And
How
they
you
were
know
just
that?
they were because they talked to me like they were still alive.
And
Uh,
you was communicating this with through the Ouija board.
yeah, and using a pendulum. So not necessarily the little thing, but like a crystal on the end of a pendulum, and then it would swing one toward one letter, towards another letter, towards another letter, towards another letter. But I had this conversation with this guy, and he just seemed like really sleepy, and he didn't seem to realize that he was dead, and it was just honestly kind of depressing, because he was talking about like saying things like I'm so tired, like it feels like I've been here forever, and what about so and so? He mentioned a few names, um, and it was almost like he was just like I was talking to a sleepy person. But it wasn't anything like demonic or negative. It was just like almost like I was waking somebody up, and they were just talking to me after being woken up, basically.
Where did that entity think that it was? It's to say like that I've been here for so long.
Um, I don't think that it knew where it was. Otherwise, it might have known it was dead. I think that he thought he was just living his life like he was living it before. Because like he brought up things like something that he had to do later. I'm like, what do you like? I didn't. I was like, what do you have to do? Like you're not doing anything. But like there was something that he had to do later, like a chore or something. And and I was just like, "Oh wow, like this person really does not know that they have passed." But it wasn't anything like extreme, and there wasn't any kind of like knowledge that he was giving me that was like super profound. But I think that that might be true with a lot of spirits that are molding back into the earth because we borrow life force spirit from the earth, and I think that the part of the process is us just that part of ourselves just kind of going to sleep and slowly passing back into the earth, at least that part of ourself.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a way to look at it. I like the way you just said that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Slowly transitioning.
Death isn't scary, guys. Trust us.
Hey y'all, we had an extremely good show today. I gotta go get some. How you doing on time?
I'm doing good on time. Actually, I don't really have anything to do, so that's why I'm still here. but
And me neither, dog. Other than get some munchies. But nah, man. You saying so much cool stuff. I'm just trying to think on any other angles or anything that we didn't cover on how I could take it. You know. Oh, you was talking about spiritual symptoms. I do think I want. We can wrap up on that. Spiritual symptoms and how to deal with them. We was talking about meditation as a big medicine or answer to that. But um, what are others some other spiritual symptoms that you guys may experience or that you experience, and how do you deal with them? How do you deal with them?
you're asking the chat,
Yeah, I'm
or
asking everybody, but you
okay,
too.
gotcha.
Starting with you.
Um, so one of the biggest things that people fall into that I don't think that they know they are is when they fall into extreme laziness or they fall into extreme self neglect or their eating habits go really bad and they don't realize how big of an impact on their mind and their spiritual journey that that can have. Um, Not making progress physically and mentally is a huge part of spirituality because everything's connected, especially in shamanism in general. Um, it's important it's important to measure sensation in the body in the sense that you must be aware of how your fingers feel, how your hands feel, how your arms feel, all parts of your body feel. You don't necessarily have to like touch them, but move your awareness around your body. And wherever your awareness sticks or has trouble moving away from, that's a part of your body in which there's some kind of negative energy that has taken up housing. Um, but it requires a certain degree of meditation in the sense that you have to meditate enough to know where your awareness is and like be able to feel that in part of your body. If that part of your body has not, if your awareness sticks there, it might be good to get some olive oil and some clove, kind of like grind up the clove in olive oil, and then place a dot on that point of your body. Now, clove is very purifying. Christians use it a lot in their various incenses and resins. It's very purifying and it's very holy. And olive it combined with olive oil is like it's very potent, and it can deliver kind of like spiritual purification to that part of the body. And usually, you want to apply it with either your ring finger or your pointer finger.
Ring
That
finger.
those are two fingers that really transfer energy well. Um, and keep in mind that also spiritual baths are a thing, and you can look up all kinds of different spiritual baths. You can in Vodou, spiritual baths are a huge thing where you apply various oils and various like salts to your bath, and then you submerge yourself into it, and then just take a bath. But that can rid your entire body of all kinds of toxins that negative energy can kind of cling to. Foot baths are also very important. So warm water, salt in a bin, and you put your feet in it for 10 to 15 minutes, a lot of negative energy tends to stick on the bottom of our soles and it can move into the water and away from ourselves and we can get rid of the water. But those are a couple or a few very like easy things to do that I highly recommend.
Yeah, that was good. That was good right there. So wherever the energy sticks, or wherever the attention sticks, that's where. Uh, and would you say in meditation to just allow that to run over you as you notice where that sticks at? Uh,
And this kind of ties into what somebody else is asking, like what if my point of awareness can't travel to a certain point of my body? That usually means that you haven't meditated like enough times. And once again, a meditation can between 5 and 15 minutes. Do that for 7 days in a row, and you'll start getting better at meditation. But what was your question again, Nicholas?
uh, yeah, essentially, kind of what he was saying. Do when you notice what point when it hits a point, do you allow that to just wash over you,
hmm
or ease
So
into it? Yeah.
so two things of that is one to get better at meditation. You sit in meditation posture on a pillow, and then keep your point of awareness. wherever your breath is. But also do this. So breathe in and just imagine the breath going into your left nostril, and then hold for a few seconds, then out your right. Hold for a few seconds, in your right. Hold for a few seconds, out your left. That's enough to get you into contact with your body and enough to improve in meditation. Do that for 5 to 15 minutes. So if you reach a point of contention in your body where your point of awareness sticks somewhere, it's very important to not make any judgments about it, but to just wait. Wait until you feel like you can move that point of focus away from that spot. But once again, don't make any snap judgments. Just allow yourself to sit there for a second or however long it takes, and then move the point as you feel it. If you've waited like 3 minutes and you can't seem to move that point of awareness, then there's something that is like very wrong, or you're just really, really bad at meditating. But what you should do is just wait at that point until you can move that point of awareness. And once you move that point of awareness, and then you continue on going through different parts of your body. And then a lot of the time, it's easiest to just imagine a point of light at a particular part as you're going through this process from
And what
one
if it's
point.
very wrong?
If something's very wrong, then you have to contact me and let me know other things about yourself. Because it could be fucking anything. Like it could be anything from, I don't know, as disparate as like cancer to demonic possession. It just depends. It could be all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it just depends on the person and what's going on with that person.
Mm, I hear that. So I don't know if it's good, very wrong, or I don't know. But when you're meditating, to just bring attention and awareness to your breathing. I like that. I like that. I like that. But I'm kind of like when I'm saying like maybe not even what do you define as very wrong? Because I'm talking about just like tension in the body, like for example, like the back of my neck and stuff like that. I mean, I used to play sports, I've been in accidents, stuff like that. I've been in a lazy spout for like a few days, for like a week or so. So is it very what would you define that as?
So so if you have tension before you start the meditation process,
Hmm.
before you keep track of your breath, but then also move that point around your body, if the tension was there beforehand, it could just be physical. It doesn't necessarily have to. It doesn't have to be like something that's like spiritual or like crazy or something. It could just be like muscular, something like that. But if the pain only becomes acute when you move that point of awareness to that spot, and the pain
Ah,
becomes very acute, then that's something completely different. Like
right, right,
it's
right.
probably not medical if it's that. Um, but the way that you check that is once again during meditation, just moving your point of awareness around your body. But once again, trust your awareness, trust what you're feeling, but don't make snap judgments on it as soon as it happens. Because if you make snap judgments, then you're just going to manifest something, and you don't need to do that. So yeah, just don't make snap judgments. Just follow your train of thinking and or not thinking of your awareness, and allow it to kind of unfold of its own like beckoning.
Talk making snap judgments from a point of pain, the type of stuff that you can manifest. That's what you were kind of alluding to before. I remember that you had an accident too, but with the psychosomatic stuff. So, do you think that's the same thing when you make those snap judgments out of pain, or is psychosomatic kind of synonymous, but it's different?
So sometimes you can manifest pain by focusing on a point of the body with stress in mind. Um, you can manifest pain at the same time. You have to kind of have a strong imagination. And ironically, one of the ways that you gain a strong imagination where you're able to manifest better is through meditation practice. It's almost like the remedy, but also it makes your mind stronger, so your mind can do more. So you could be more likely to like screw yourself over. So I remember one guru saying that like there's certain demonic people that should not meditate because they will gain a stronger mind to do more demonic shit, to do more demonic things. So like
What did he define as a demonic person? Certain demonic people were like, yeah, or was it different groups, like three groups, four groups?
um a person who is completely self-centered, um like
You mentioned that one.
Yeah, yeah. And it actually comes up a lot, and if you look at human culture and human society and human thought, you'll see a lot of self-centeredness. Um, so I like to think of centeredness as being center everywhere but circumference nowhere, as Paramahansa Yogananda used to say, where you should recognize a center in every other thing, not just yourself. You don't have to be the center. But when I say extreme self-centeredness, I mean like you don't you'll do anything to anybody if you can get away with it.
Mm,
And usually those people who are extremely self-centered, usually they'll not be self-aware, but when they are self-aware, they're even worse people. So if you know you're a piece of shit, if you're a piece of shit and you know it and you keep on doing it, then that's I would call that a demonic person.
I know some
Um,
people like that. I ain't gonna
right?
say no names. Yeah. I know some people like that. I ran into some people like that. Yeah. That make he said extremely demonic. Yeah, yeah. I think we got some stuff going on like that everywhere, bro. I think people be self aware, bro. And it,
See, I tend to think people usually aren't self-aware, but like I could be wrong. But well, so I've seen and have been in contact with a lot of like very egotistical people, but there's a part of me that tries to understand like, do they really know that they're a piece of shit? Like, and I don't think that many self-centered people know it. But I could be wrong. I'm not really sure, to be honest. Do you feel like a lot of them know it? Like they know they're a piece of shit and they do it anyway?
yes, bro.
Oh fuck, that's a scary world, man.
Because people will give you cues on how they are. They're like, oh man, I'm I'm crazy, or I just don't like when they do that, or
But see, that's an excuse. They're trying to rationalize it. When they're not trying to rationalize it, and they don't try to make it okay in their own head, and they're just okay with being a piece of shit. I think that that's worse, and I think that that's more rare. But I could be wrong.
I know what you're saying. Yeah. I know what you're saying. I think it's more rare to have it noticed because it's so acute. Uh, you know. But I think it's a lot more people. I personally think it's a lot of people that know and they might rationalize it out loud. I don't know. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I think it's degrees. Has to be degrees of it for sure. You know what I mean?
Do you think American culture is like a incubator for this kind of selfishness and self-centeredness?
Definitely. I think it's the perfect. I think it's the little kid. It's the bratty little kid. That's why we the youngest nation, supposedly, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think we the bratty little kid, and uh, that we the bratty little kid that has inhabited the responsibility of funding or finding the new world, but really we still stuck to some old world problems and shit, and we don't have. You know what I mean, we disconnected from. We the kids and we taking over the castle and the mansion, but it's in shit. It's in piles of shit. You know what I mean?
We feel like we made the castle, but this castle is just one that we've moved into.
We moved into, yeah, but now it's piss and shit stains everywhere though, and we, you know what I mean, and we covered it up, and we just hung up our pictures and stuff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's how I
yeah,
look
for
at that.
sure.
That's how I look at that. Well, hey y'all, this has been an episode of Let Me Talk. Man, what didn't we cover? We talk about dreams, nightmares. We didn't go so deep into nightmares, but we talked about it. We talked about the entities of guardian angels and being in different parts of your body, and you can bring awareness to different parts of your body through meditation and through eating good too and taking care of yourself. You know, um, anything I left out?
The only thing that I have left to include is where people can find me.
Right on. And we is let me make sure what is my point of awareness can't change. Ego power dynamic. Oh yeah, we covered everything, dog. Yeah, dog. Where can we find you and how can we get in contact with you?
Yeah, so on YouTube, it's just Hunter Salazar, Hunter space Salazar, Hunter Salazar. And on Facebook, facebook.com/hunter.salazar. And then on Instagram at Vevemasta, Vevemasta. And also, my professional photography account is Prime Eye Photographer. Prime and then EYE Photographer. But yeah, that's where you can find me. You can reach out in any of those places if you need help or if you want to be in contact, and we can go from there. But
I
yeah,
need to
man,
start.
it's been a good episode. Thank you for
Nah,
having me.
for sure. I need to. We need to start plugging that in the beginning too. Make sure we do that. Oh, one more thing before I let you go. What's when you get in this get in a rut of needing to meditate to point out is meditation the answer and the cure to get out of the spiritual warfare of being in bouts of extreme laziness or not taking care of yourself or not eating like you're supposed to? What's your remedy for that?
So there's all kinds of different meditations. The meditation I would recommend for anybody who's stuck in a rut is to, while you're meditating, sitting down on a cushion, hands like this or like this on your knees, and keep your back straight. And then I recommend that you envision in your mind's eye a flame, and feel it at the bottom of your spine, at your tailbone. Feel it there, visualize it there, and then as you breathe, the flame goes up, and then as you breathe out, the flame goes down. As you breathe in, the flame goes up. As you breathe out, the flame goes down. This will help any kind of because a lot of the time lazy people they tend to have energy blockage at the bottom of their spine, and this will help kind of get rid of that and kind of like move the energy upward. But to really get a good meditation, I would recommend 15 to 20-minute sessions. I would recommend an alarm on your phone, very soft alarm. But just imagine that flame as you breathe in goes up, as you breathe out goes down, and visualize it and feel it at the your tailbone, at the bottom of your spine. Then that will help get any kind of late energy kind of like moving. There's plenty of other meditations that I can go into, but I think that one is pretty key for doing what you're talking about.
Right, right. And that can get you out of a rut if you find yourself in a rut or a bind or just like a frustrating series of moments, which can lead up to days, weeks, and months. You don't want that. We want to snap out of that. So, yeah, dog, this has been a real good episode, man. I appreciate you sliding through, and I holler at y'all and you next time, dog.
All right, man. Y'all have a good
Yes,
one.
sir. Yes, sir.